What time of day is it?
I don't know. Yo, is my mic on?
When is
Do
now?
I sound good?
I think you do. You sound good to me.
Cool. I like
do
it.
we look good? I felt really
Always.
bad about my internet connection last time. Like, no one complained the whole live stream, but then I looked at the episode after and I'm like, that shit was fuzzy. Do not worry, everyone. I invested in an Ethernet cable.
Okay, but it, like I said last time, though, it didn't look fuzzy on our side. Sorry, I'm like just finishing fixing my hair because I just ran on the live stream.
Oh,
but
no,
it didn't look. It didn't look bad on our side, so that's why like nothing looked weird or out of normal for us.
It was a little confusing, but there were a couple of other suspicious things that had happened with other things that I recorded that I kind of knew something was up with my connection. But
okay.
So you'll see it's going to be the ugliest thing in the world. But the next time we record at my apartment in Los Angeles, I have this like 50-foot Ethernet cable that I have to dangle over the loft down to the downstairs because that's the only place the modem can be. But it will work.
I mean, I know where you're situated, so that's going to be a little dangly portion. So that's interesting. But okay.
I know. It's the ugliest thing in the world. But for good internet connection, I will do anything.
Anything to make it look a little better. I have my two. I'm trying to figure out the lighting, but like I just literally turned on these lights so it didn't look.
Where are you sitting in your apartment right now?
I'm bar area right now.
I think you have the same problem that I do in my apartment, where it's like in addition to lights on the floor, we need lights overhead.
Yeah,
because it gets washed out at a certain point.
Like, I could definitely put a little screw up here and just do like an overhead light. That actually wouldn't be
Everyone's seeing that, the little ones here. Guys, I'm so happy to be home in New York with him. I'm so happy.
Everyone's commenting that, like,
even though he slept on my face and I got such a bad allergy attack that I could barely open my left eye for a good chunk of the day. Oh wait, can I show you something else?
Yeah, go.
Look. Do you see it?
Is it a Mondo?
No, this was from, oh shit, now I can't remember if it was Gallery or a Bottleneck. I think this might be Gallery. Gallery 1988.
I don't think that's Bottleneck.
No, I don't think it is either.
That is a very nice Jurassic Park poster.
That I've had that for a good while, and I meant to get it properly framed and hang it up during lockdown and just never got around to it. But my parents finally did it when I went back to LA. So thank you, Mom and Dad.
I have a Child's Play 2 Mondo and a Return of the Living Dead Mondo. The Child's Play 2 is from the actual Mondo auction, and the Return of the Living Dead I got lucky and actually got it when it released. And both of those have been sitting in the tubes all pandemic. And now that we finally have a place to hang things again, I'm gonna get those fully framed. But those are gonna be centerpiece kind of posters for me,
as they should be. What are you drinking today? Oh, I don't even have to ask that. Is that one of the Bud Light seltzers? Yeah,
absolutely. The best one of the best hard seltzers, just period, and the best thing I think Bud Light's ever done.
Oh shit! Wow, that's a serious endorsement there.
Like Bud Light, because Bud Light, I mean, what are we comparing it to? Other seltzers, other things of that nature. So this is definitely one of my favorite seltzers. Also one of the best Bud Light products you can find.
I'm really excited for our beer fest thing that we're going to. I forgot what it was called already.
Yeah, Crafttoberfest. Craft beer fest. That will be Oktoberfesty, so you can get bratwurst and things of that nature, and a bunch of beer vendors. So that will be 2 weeks from now. Holy crap! That is literally 2 weeks from now.
I can't believe how soon that is, but I still have to get through New York Comic Con first. Is anybody out there in the live chat going? Now I'm I have dewy hair all over my face. It's all over here. If anyone in the live chat is going to be at New York Comic Con, chime in. Tell me. I'm gonna be lurking. I won't be at everything. But I'm gonna pick and choose certain things to go to.
We're gonna figure out how we do a live stream that weekend, as we talked about.
It's a good question. I think we'll be able to squeeze it in somewhere, but it's going to be a weird weekend next weekend.
I like it. I mean, I have your login. I can just host it, and you can video in on your phone.
So part of me did think that would be really cool. Even if we just call it a mini episode and see how much I could kind of run around. The only thing that confuses me with something like that is I don't know. I guess I'm just thinking about like looking stupid, like running around a crowded place, like screaming into the microphone kind of thing.
I've already seen you act as stupid as you possibly could at a convention, so I don't think you have to worry about that ever again.
That's fair. That's fair. That's a very, very good point.
And okay, so
that wasn't when the convention was open though, so it was not very crowded.
But you're going to be worried about being at a convention where everyone else is going to be tweeting, Instagramming, and live streaming, and you're going to be worried about live streaming there. If anything, you're going to fit in more.
I don't know. If you want to try it, and if everyone's down to deal with some troubleshooting as we do it, I'm open to giving it a shot.
Whatever makes it easier for you. But let's. What do you want to discuss? How do you want to tackle this?
Because I want to go with the title topic first. I need to hear your thoughts on Halloween Kills. So Matt was lucky enough to see it at Beyond Fest last night, Halloween Kills, the new movie in the franchise, and you are allowed to talk about it. So please review it for us.
I will absolutely not do spoilers, so we don't have a spoiler warning up. I will not ruin things that are of that nature. I will stay far away from many things. But I will also say right out front, this is a very fan servicey, lots of callbacks, lots of throwback sequel. So I'm going to say a few things, and I want you to know that these are things that are readily available in the marketing only. I'm not saying anything that we don't know already. So I do want to make sure, I'm not going to screw you all over. This is going to be my spoiler-free take. So don't worry about that. Actually, we could just answer this first before I get into it. Is Halloween Kills releasing same day on Peacock? Perri, is it releasing same day on Peacock?
It is. As I'm bringing that up, we got some interesting quotes on Collider from Jason Blum regarding that whole situation, because that's a big decision. Why is Halloween Kills streaming on Peacock so soon? Jason Blum explains the surprising release date strategy. He says, "It was my idea to do it. Peacock didn't approach me. I approached them. I, like everyone else, am a big believer in the theatrical experience. I think there should be windows. I think Universal's strategy of the 3-week window is a great strategy, but I had a bad distribution experience with Freaky. That movie is a great movie, and it didn't get seen because the distribution of it got all twisted up. My fault." And then he added, "I didn't want to go through that experience again. I didn't want to have a movie that I'm really proud of, that I think is great, and have there be an excuse why people didn't see it. So I'm the one who pitched Universal, and then I pitched Jamie and David, and it was my idea. I stand behind it. I'm glad that we're doing it." So in case anyone's wondering why they're releasing the movie this way, that is the reason.
Yeah, and he echoed the same sentiments with David Gordon Green in person last night, because that was one of the questions asked, what was this decision there? And the biggest takeaway, just being asked off the cuff and not a quote that he was giving, he just pretty much was like, man, it kind of sucked. We had to figure out how to get Halloween Kills to the people, but also do it smartly as a business decision. And this is it right now. This is the best way to do it. And it's not a knock on quality. It's not a knock on what the film is. It is just the scenario that cinema and streaming services are in right now. My other thing I will lead with before actually jumping in very quickly.
Thank you for the super chat, Wiley, by the way. Yep. Thank you.
Absolutely. So only David Gordon Green and Jason Blum were announced to be there last night, and they pulled a little trickaroo on us, and they brought in Jamie Lee Curtis as well. And the chaotic energy that Jamie Lee Curtis brings to anything she does, pardon my language, but the first thing Jamie Lee Curtis says when she walks on stage is "Happy fucking Halloween, motherfuckers," and then just starts launching into this whole thing where she's just "I go to bed usually at 8:00. I'm only here because Jason Blum wants me to be here. I'm not staying for the movie. I'm not going to do a Q&A after this, so you get to see me for 5 minutes. I didn't want to be here or hang out with any of you." And it was just the most chaos energy I've ever seen. And the Q&A afterwards, it was part of Blumfest, so it was a weird scenario where the Q&A, anyone could watch it on Blumfest streaming.
Yeah.
But we'd seen the movie, so no one could actually ask spoiler questions and stuff like that. But she kept calling it Blumfest though. So she's on stage with all the Beyond Fest people who brought her out, and she just keeps giving Blumhouse the credit, and totally not intentional at all. That she was there for Blumfest, but it was just the most chaos energy I've ever seen on stage.
While we're bringing up Blumfest, can I do a little self-promotion? Travis called this out. Anyone check out the Blumhouse thing with Perri? The House on the Bayou looks interesting. I got to host one of those Blumfest panels for A House on the Bayou, and nice. It is coming out in November. The cast and filmmaker were super cool. So if you like, I think you could just go to my tweet in my profile and it should be queued up to right when that portion of the event starts, because it's a long video. So if you just want to watch that portion, that's there. If not, you can watch the whole damn thing.
So, do we want to get to my thoughts on it?
Yes, please.
Do we want to launch in? Okay. My immediate takeaway, you're getting just like I saw it last night, super late. So I just finished my review, and listen, it's a pretty decent slasher. If you look at it as a standalone, what it does right is it is effing brutal. If you thought the first one was kind of dancing a line of brutality that wasn't going to get replicated, the body count in Halloween Kills is insane. It lives up to the kills part of its title, and I write like a kill. I basically do like the best kills of the year for every year on Fango, and I don't know which one I'm going to pick from Halloween Kills because there's so many good ones that could take like one of the top spots this year. But so again, this is not a spoiler. David Gordon Green for a long time has been saying that this is a movie about mob justice. This is very much a film centered on Haddonfield and its residents more than it is a single few people versus Michael Myers. So what happens is the scope of the film starts to come back from just Laurie Strode and the Strodes. And we know that Anthony Michael Hall is playing Tommy Doyle. We know that Robert Longstreet is playing Lonnie Elam. There are other characters you are going to see again who you have seen in many other of the Halloween movies. So they do so much to bring back all of the lore and nostalgia that has been throughout the franchise of Halloween and bring these characters back themselves, same actors in some cases not, obviously, because Robert Longstreet is playing a much more grown-up Lonnie Elam. And I think that's where it's doing a lot to show new people who these characters are. And that's either going to work or not work for people who know the franchise already, because it's going to be a lot of information flying at you. It does a lot with characters they know already, and that kind of weighs the plot down. And I don't think they fully realize the mob justice aspect of what they're doing here. So very much my takeaway is that it is brutal, awesome to look at for that aspect. Michael Myers is probably one of his most imposing forms, and like it's this nice toasted mask because, well, we know how Halloween ends, and very much that is, yeah, it is like a toasted marshmallow in a way because it's melted a little bit and it's got that, but very imposing. Like all that stuff works. Where it loses me is they try to do so much fan servicing and they try to do so much with going back to the world, and I don't think all of that comes through.
I have one question about that. When you talk about all that fan service exposition, does that slow the pace down, or does the body count and the big set pieces keep it going quickly enough?
That's where I stay positive. I stay positive on the film, and my review will be in the positive area because it does have quite a fast pace. The body count does not stop. Michael Myers continues to kill throughout the movie. It's just how they intercut the rest of the dramatic arcs. It's how they intercut you meeting these characters again and dealing with them, and where those arcs go. That's where it slows down a little bit because it's throwing so much at you and it's trying to do so much with playing with Haddonfield. And then all of a sudden you realize this is just a skipping stone of a movie. This movie is about the past and the future, but it should be more about the present. Like I think that's the best way I kind of summed it up in my review. But one more thing I will say is you get a lot of David Gordon Green and Danny McBride coming out in the script. And I think McBride's influence as a comedian, because some of the best stuff this movie does is play with supporting characters that are new to the franchise. And listen, they're there to be Haddonfield residents who are killed, but they feel lived in and they feel like characters that we've known for so long. And that's a testament to who they cast for them. Lenny Clark is a comedian who shows up. Scott MacArthur from The Mick is a funnier guy who shows up. Michael McDonald, who's been in however many movies and on Mad TV. Scott MacArthur and Michael McDonald. I'm not going to say what happens, but they play a gay couple who own the Myers residence in modern day times. And all they want to do is eat their charcuteries. And let's just say that they are interrupted many times. But like those characters feel so rich and lived in, which is a weird thing to say against the Anthony Michael Halls and the Robert Longstreets, who are playing characters who have lineage to the Haddonfield residence there and like actually to Michael Myers. So I wanted more from the characters we know, maybe in a way, and maybe a little less from the new ones. And I didn't really get that. So I mean, take that for what you will,
Yeah.
because I will also say Michael isn't my favorite of the franchises. Sorry, Halloween isn't my favorite of the franchises. So like, I'm coming at this from somebody who is just more watching from a horror appreciation, not like someone who is obsessed with the Myers lineage.
I have one more question. Does the amount of supporting characters that we get in this movie do a disservice to the Strode family?
I'm going to say yes, because let's put it this way. I don't think we spend all that much time with the Strode family, and I can't get further into that without doing things. And I can't say things because I want you all to experience it, but I want to stress that this is a movie about Haddonfield. This isn't a movie about the Strodes, maybe. This isn't a movie about people close. This is a movie about Haddonfield and what happens when fear has basically commanded Haddonfield for so long, and the residents are sick of it.
Okay. That's a good review, Matt. I appreciate your thoughts.
I'm doing my best there to because there is so much I want to get into, and I want to bring up Raina's comment here too. The fact that it's a part one hella worries me, to be honest. Expectations adjusted. It is very much a part one. And I think that is also where it's a little bit of an issue. And that's where I say it's playing more with the past and the present, because it's playing with the past so much because it wants you to remember all these things. It's playing with the present because it's obviously setting up something that is going to be the main arc that will be culminated in Halloween Ends with the Strodes. And to get there, they do a lot of things with Haddonfield and other people. And it's a stepping stone. I'm going to use that again.
Can you answer this question for us? From AJ?
I will do my best. Does it make you excited for the next one? Yes. I'm not going to say that in any way it doesn't excite me. I am hesitant because of where it ends. I am hesitant with what we see right as the film ends, and a lot of you are going to have a visceral reaction to it. But I'm still excited to see how the movie plays out with that.
I'm so curious now what that is.
You shall see soon enough. Listen, it's going to be on Peacock and all that stuff.
I know. I hope I get to see it sometime soon. I could have been I was very, very excited to come home and see the family, but I was very, very sad when that invite came through and I realized that it was the same time as my flight.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see any more comments if that I can answer here. I'm just taking a look. Yeah, extra crispy. Absolutely. That is very much.
Oh, and here's a good one.
Go ahead.
Oscar film.
Okay, so one thing I will say that this movie does good and bad is they do a very good job of showing you exactly who every character is. This isn't going to be one of those franchise, what movie is this anyway in the Halloween franchise? You know, we're pretty deep into it. There's been so many movies, and you will get references to everything. Like, is there a Halloween 3 reference? There might be, probably. It's in the trailer. But if you haven't seen them, you're going to get all that exposition and flashbacks. You're going to get everything told to you in the movie, which again is a good and a bad because it does so much of it. And I don't know if they need to do it all. But I would still say watch it to really get, I think Travis actually said that, to really understand where the Strodes are coming from with Michael and the investment, and maybe another character that I'm not going to mention who has a very much investment with Michael, and it goes back to 78. So you will be able to appreciate and understand if you go back and watch the first few. You don't have to really get into the later ones, but to understand where Laurie and her family are coming from, it's definitely recommended.
We've got two super chat questions. One from Wiley. Will a fan like me that only has seen the OG in Halloween 2019, but only likes the 2018, I believe, one like this particular movie?
I think you have an easier time liking it, is the way I would say it. If you're coming just for the appreciation of knowing the first one and actually liking the 2018 one more, you're going to be already tied into what David Gordon Green's laid down in the first movie and what Gordon Green is pushing towards in this second one. So, I think that's actually going to help you out here a little bit. I think the ones that might be a little frustrated are the diehard fans who have to relive a bunch of moments and feel like they might be being talked down to in a way. So I think if you're coming at it, not talked down to, but hey, here's all these things that you obviously remember. We're going to throw it at you again. So I like this comment, and I think it'll be okay.
I don't know if you can answer this one, but Vanya's trying. Matt, does Michael get a bit more beat up?
So Michael does a hell of a lot of beating up. He does a hell of a lot of pulverizing, mutilating. Again, this movie is very gross, and there are some kills in here that are going to stick with me. Does Michael get beat up? Well, once again, this is a movie about mob justice, and this is a movie about a town that is very pissed off at someone who has haunted them for not as long in the David Gordon Green chronology than in the actual overall franchise, but still in the Gordon Green chronology. He's killed a lot of people. He has killed people on like streets that they know. So there's a lot of great lines where it's just a random resident and they're just furious because Michael has killed someone even next door to them. And it's like, honestly, it's putting the foot down and saying, fuck this, we're getting this guy. It goes back to like even like Frankenstein's monster and like Universal monster movies, where I think a lot of the teenage slashers, you get to the point where it's just the slasher killing teens over and over again. It's always just a new set and like, cool, we're going to do this again. This is very much a reaction to that. This is very much a reaction that says, no, fuck this. We're going after. He hit our town. We're standing our ground. Yeah, he might get toughed up a little bit.
Okay. Good tease. Good tease. All right. Yeah. I think we should cut it off there. I feel like we've asked you a lot of questions and you've done a very good job of giving us some informative criticism, but without, crossing that line. So thank you for that.
It's such a fine line too.
All right.
It's so much in the movie.
Did any of the other stories that I sent you pique your interest most? And were there any stories that you wanted to discuss that I missed?
I can do the Chucky stuff is easy to do.
Oh yeah. What did you think of the clip? Here, wait. I'll actually drop a link to the clip in the chat in case anyone's missed it. I should do that more often.
Actually, this is very funny. One more thing before I move on. In the Q&A, somebody absolutely asked, because there are so many characters that come back. Hold on, Perri. Because there are so many characters that come back in this movie, someone asked, and they're like, hey, Halloween ends. Are we going to get the same amount of characters coming back from the franchise? And when I'm not joking here, literally David Gordon Green goes, not to joke, but I did talk about bringing Busta Rhymes back today in the next movie. Like, literally, this is not something he wants to do. This is not something that like is confirmed by any means. But in the Q&A, he did say he joked about bringing Busta Rhymes back because they did so many callbacks already. So who knows? Maybe we do get a Busta.
Wait, before we do a story, have you watched Squid Game? I watched the first episode finally, and I loved it, and I really want to binge it.
I am so far behind on things, but Squid Game will be watched by me. I feel like
maybe if it's possible, maybe we'll both watch it for either the next show or the show after.
Show after.
Okay.
I am currently covering Beyond Fest, Fantastic Fest, and regular releases, so I need at least like another week.
I love how, as I say that, I think about how many
what you're doing.
Things I have coming up in the next 2 weeks that involve cramming like a stupid amount of movies.
Yep.
All right.
I'm in the same boat.
So, what do you think of that Chucky clip for the TV show? What's in the live chat for everyone to watch?
Yeah, I don't have to reiterate here that Chucky is my favorite of the franchises. I've already ranted about this over and over again. I didn't even need to see this clip to be hyped on it, but we're getting another scenario where Chucky is the mentor and trying to groom a new either vessel or, groom another killer. And it's interesting that he's doing it just like brazenly and in public now. It's not even something he's trying to hide. This is in a classroom where he mutilates a frog. And I didn't need to see anything else, but I'm excited seeing it. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked this clip a lot. It feels like it feels like the appropriate type of clip to tease the show. It's not the most informative thing, and it doesn't necessarily give me faith that like the whole thing's gonna be great. But I think this particular moment plays quite well.
The thing that inspires me about this entire show is the thing that I keep harping on, and that it's Don Mancini still. That this is one of the only franchises that that any one sole creator has obtained either writer, either directing, producing. It's all Mancini. So like, the fact that we're still getting something that he wants to do and that this is going to be completely still tied to the lineage, I was in on that already. Like, I'm already forever in on that.
I hear you. I'm pumped for this. I can't wait to finally see it.
Can I tell you my surprise favorite movie from Fantastic Fest so far?
Yes, please. What is it?
The Slumber Party Massacre remake.
Okay.
It's absolutely. It's a sci-fi product. It is very much going to just play on sci-fi television and stuff like that, but for Fantastic Fest, we got the theatrical cut of it, and I wasn't there, but I did get to get a screener of it. And you know my association with horror remakes, right? Like I have a column on Bloody Disgusting. I'm very defendant of them. And I really hope that this Slumber Party Massacre remake is the new template for how inventive remakes can be. And I say that with about a film that is so reverent of its material, but also wants to kind of shake the system in a way that is like, we appreciate where Slumber Party Massacre came from. We appreciate it as a classic, but also kind of like, we're going to do things our way. And guess what? We're going to have a ton of fun with it. We don't care, kind of like, we're going to rock the hornet's nest a little bit here. So I watch out for that Slumber Party Massacre remake because it is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun.
Do you know when and how it's being released?
I believe it's October 15th. I believe it's somewhere mid-October. And again, I believe it's just airing on Sci-Fi. So do your best to kind of look out for it. But it's, the more I think about it, the more I really effing like it. And the more that it is such a good party movie that is still really effing effective at being a horror remake that wants to do its own thing. And again, I can't say anything more because if I do, I will spoil immense surprises. Right. So approach that Slumber Party Massacre remake with a little bit of excitement because it's more than just a made-for-TV movie remake. It's going to be good.
I'm really excited. Did you ever wind up watching There's Someone Inside Your House?
Yes, I reviewed that too.
What'd you wind up giving that?
3.5 out of 5. I think it's effective.
I think I might have gone, I still have to publish this review, but I think I might have gone 3 out of 5.
I like it a little more because when we look at the modern slasher landscape and how that's evolving and like how that is playing against what we've seen in the past, I think that There's Someone Inside Your House is able to do what a lot of early slashers did, and it creates this villain that has a look and feel to it that stays longer than anything that's just a single film. Mm-hmm. And it also ushers it into the modern era because is it in a small town nowhereville village where like, you know, it's kids dealing with the same problems they kind of have year after year, decade after decade, but it just feels more authentic. It feels more genuine of our time. It considers things that older slashers didn't. I think there's some logic issues with a few scenes, and like, you know, maybe the killer not being stopped when he should have been.
Yeah, I had a couple of questions. It's like, you know, the killer's motivation for me needed a little more fleshing out, and then there were certain things about how that killer operates that kept making me think like, hey, can you really do this? Wait, what? But you know, but that kind of stuff you can almost push aside when the set pieces are as well crafted as they are, and there's some pretty gnarly kills in this movie.
Yeah, and that was the other thing I was going to bring up, gnarly kills. I think that this would make a great double bill with a movie called Initiation that I might have talked about in previous episodes, but it's one of my favorite underrated horror films of the year so far, snuck under, and they're both very good, socially conscious, modern, still devastating, still clever, still cleavery slasher films that the modern kind of era has produced.
Can you tell me your favorite kill in the movie by number order? Because mine is number 2. Order,
I still have to think it's 1 because let's just say Achilles tendon things are icky to me. So when you start your movie off in a way that like captivates me so much and like has me squeal in that way, no, that's good. That's a good movie.
Makes me think of House of Wax.
Absolutely.
Wiley, I'm going to be publishing a new episode of Countdown to Scream 2022 on Monday. So you're going to have a whole lot of Scream talk in that. What else did we had a comment that gets us to the next one of our next stories. Okay. Steve is here. How you doing, my friend? What are your thoughts on Venom Let There Be Carnage making an impressive 37 million opening day? So let's see what we got here. Venom Let There Be Carnage took the top spot at the box office on Friday with 37.25 million. That is a very, very nice number there. I think the studio is predicting something like 70 million plus, if I remember correctly. And that would be a pretty impressive total. And I think a sure sign that this is a series that the studio should continue exploring. Actually, Maybe at the very end of this episode, we should talk about the post-credit scene. Like why? Like so we're gonna do Merri Hour for an hour tonight. We're gonna wrap at 7. Maybe at like 6:50. I'll make a little thingy for the post-credit scene, a spoiler thing, and we'll talk about that because it's a big post-credit scene.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna do that right now while you pick.
Yeah.
While you pick our next story.
I just want to talk about Let There Be Carnage. Like that movie is so.
Everyone knows everyone knows what I think about it because I ran a review. So you tell them what you think about it.
Yeah, man, like I don't even know how to approach that movie from a critical standpoint because it's one of those kind of. I want to say it's one of those defies star rating movies because it is genuinely entertaining, and I mean that. Like this is a silly, big, dumb, stupid blockbuster that they let through the system somehow. And the fact that Tom Hardy is so invested in the character of Venom and Eddie Brock that he wanted to like write part of the script, it's like kind of like a 3-ring circus kind of feel. It just keeps getting weirder and weirder the farther it goes. It's hilariously romantic between the two of them, and I mean that again with authenticity and genuinity because I care very deeply about the bond between Venom and Eddie Brock. And at the same time, like the Carnage stuff, it is so low stakes. And yet kind of badass at certain times with the fight sequences. So I was in on Venom. I was in on so much of it. And I acknowledge how structurally inept it is. I know the blueprint is a bad blueprint for a movie, but it's too freaking engrossing of a comedy to walk away from.
I think I said something to this effect in my review where it's just like my brain melts thinking about the experience of thoroughly enjoying something while my critical brain is telling me like this, and this is not a good way of telling this particular story. So much of it is flawed and so much of it doesn't work. But when the heart and soul of these Venom movies is the Eddie Venom relationship and Tom Hardy is just knocking that out of the park it's so fun and lovable. Like I have completely fallen for these characters and their relationship, and that alone lets them get away with a lot of things that many other movies can't if they don't have that same strong heart and soul.
I mean, you were sitting next to me during the movie, and I was laughing out loud. Like I was literally laughing out loud at that movie. So like I can't discredit that.
I have one question. Did the beginning bother you as much as it did me? I despise when movies put the older actors' dialogue into a younger version's mouth when the younger version was cast with I couldn't handle that.
Yeah, I do think it quote unquote bothered me, but again, I was laughing too hard for it to really sink in. So like,
I don't like when they did it here, and I also don't like I vividly remember them doing it in the Insidious franchise, and it just plain old did not work.
Luckily, it's just the beginning, though, so you don't get too much of it.
All right. Do we want to hit super chat?
Yeah. Hit the super chat.
Thank ya. Near Dark sequel or reboot it? I haven't seen that in forever, so I feel like I don't know.
I say sequel it. I don't think that needs to be a reboot. I think that's something that you can play in the world now and have there be an updated version of what was already done by Catherine Bigelow and them. So I'm going to stick on sequel it.
I'm going to trust your instincts on that until I rewatch it.
Yeah.
All right. Where are we going to next, Matt? Do you want to pick?
I don't know. This is just...
What about this Stranger Things stuff? Do you want Stranger Things spinoffs? So here's the source for this information. So I'm reading from the Collider article. It says Stranger Things spinoff shows are being discussed, says Netflix head Ted Sarandos. So apparently, according to Deadline, Sarandos revealed that Stranger Things is a franchise being born and hinted at the possibility of spinoffs in the works.
Obviously they're going to do it. Obviously this is one of their most popular properties in pop culture. That's like original for them. I Am I hyped about it? Not really. I only really care about the main story. I don't know what those spin-offs could be and who they're going to focus on or what they're going to do. I mean, are they going to give Hopper a spin-off? Like, is that what they're going to try and...
I do think one of the things that they're discussing is maybe giving 11 a spin-off. So I'm reading from the article again.
Okay.
Deadline also reports that there have been conversations surrounding a potential 11 spin-off starring Millie Bobby Brown, which would further extend the Stranger Things universe, but also fall under the purview of her own separate deal with Netflix. So, you know, from a business deal standpoint, that makes sense to me. And you know, I get the interest in making Stranger Things spin-off series. It's one of their most popular properties, if not the most popular property, and you know, they've got a lot to compete with out there. But I keep thinking about, I was having a conversation with someone about The Walking Dead today, and it just stressed me out because I've heard so many times that like the main Walking Dead show got better. And I keep thinking I want to jump back in and maybe watch what I missed and catch up again. But then I start to think about how like Fear the Walking Dead and whatever that other show is all connected. And now I'm overwhelmed and now I'm just turned off from the main series and I can't catch up anymore.
Yeah, I kind of like this comment.
Maybe that's more of a me problem than a should they or shouldn't they with something like this.
No, I don't think it's a you problem at all because as Amelia's been having me watch Legends of Tomorrow, it does get to the point where it's like you can't get past a first season, or sorry, like a certain season where you go to the Flash, Green Arrow, you do all the crossover events, and then it's like, well, you can't watch the next episode because you got to do the crossover here, and then we get through those crossovers, then we can go back. And so like Walking Dead having entire seasons of having to do that for, and I think I lasted longer than you. I went to like 8.
I went to 8 too.
Okay, you were 8 too. Yeah, so like that's still 3-4 full more seasons worth of content there, and then that's still however many seasons of Fear the Walking Dead, the other Walking Dead show, and it just left such a sour taste in my mouth when I left it. I don't think I can ever go back until I am just like, man, if someday, God forbid, I ever like break my leg or something and I'm just laid up in bed for however many days, or sorry, however many like months, maybe then I'll do like a little bit of a catch up. But with our workloads, with everything we do, I don't have The Walking Dead anywhere near the center of my mind.
There's too much content. I have so much to, and I'm not saying that in a like it frustrates me mostly because I want to watch all that content. Like if I had the power to add more hours to the day, I wouldn't use those hours to like sleep or rest. I would use them to absorb more content.
Yeah, it is the frustration, and it will only get worse and worse as streaming services just get more money and want to do more originals because they're the ones that are kind of like weighing things down for us now.
In the future, when they like implant chips in our brains or let us plug in and just download shit, like I will do that. Sign me up so I can know all the content and experience it all.
You can become a slave to the machine. I will.
I'm terrible. No. I probably would. I can't deny it. All right. So that is Stranger Things. Can we talk about the Scream House thing?
That we're absolutely going to go to.
Yeah, I'm putting that in the live chat too. I really want to do this. So what is the deal here? So apparently David Arquette made this announcement that the house that was used for filming in the original Scream, Stu's house, apparently is on the Airbnb market. He tweeted, "You're not scared, are you? Learn how to book your stay on Airbnb and see the new Scream in the." All right, yeah, but I really want to do this. So, like, what's the deal? What's the deal?
The deal
it's just you have to be on Airbnb at that specific day and time and just be quick enough to book it.
Yes, that is exactly what it is. Only the lucky ones will be able to get to spend time in the Scream house if you are on Airbnb right when that drops. It's like anything, like a shoe drop or a merch drop or anything like that. You just have to get lucky enough. And it's what, $5 or something like marked?
Now I regret talking about it on Merri Hour because now we have lots of viewers who are going to be competing with us. I'm just kidding.
Compete against everyone else. But
I'm just kidding.
I would, in a heartbeat, stay at that house. I mean, like, I'd like, there was a show Amelia was watching. It was like about staycation kind of places and finding good deals on like Airbnbs and stuff like that. And they did a paranormal episode and they did like a stay in haunted houses and stuff like that. And like they stayed in a haunted house. I think it was Ohio or something like that. But it was a friendly haunted house where the person who owned it is very into the occult and knew the ghosts are just like there to kind of hang out. And you can stay there for like $140 a night. And like you can do a seance with the person and they will have like a Ouija board out and stuff. So I don't know. Just saying.
If you want to do that, I would go in a heartbeat. All right. How about this story? Disney and Scarlett Johansson settle Black Widow release strategy lawsuit. So the gist of this one is that, according to the Hollywood Reporter, they have settled. Of course, Johansson and her team alleged a breach of contract once Disney decided to release Black Widow in theaters and on Disney Plus on the same day. And the terms of the settlement have not been disclosed, which makes it difficult to really assess what's happening here. But, another telling element is that both sides of this argument have, made public statements that very much convey that, like, it's all good now. We're excited to continue working together. So, there's really not much to add, I guess, except for the fact, and it's like, not that I thought that they were going to really reveal all of like the nitty-gritty details for us to dig into, but I guess I'm a little disappointed because this felt like it had the power to really change the course for these kinds of arrangements going forward. And I still think it does. I think this happening at all, sends a certain message to the industry that certain things need to be reassessed in order to make appropriate deals moving forward. But I don't know. I think if we had the specifics of this arrangement, then it would have had a little more power behind it, or could have, depending on what those specifics are. Could have made it worse for all I know.
Yeah, we have a few legal professional friends, and one of them, Lee Monson, tweeted out when it first got announced. This is an expense that Disney and other studios definitely accounted for when they made the choice to do simultaneous releases. These cases will settle to save on legal fees. The lawsuits just leverage. Everyone will get paid. No bridges burned. It's cost of doing business. And now that we see how it's going out, it's exactly that kind of scenario. So I very much, I'm obviously resting on people who actually know the legal ramifications and like actual legal like workarounds here at play. And that was the first thing they said. They're like, yep, just called this. Like, that's what it was. The only thing I was wrong about is that Disney was smart enough to do PR to work with other actors like Emma Stone behind the scenes before more suits were actually filed. So like, I think that's the gravity of this suit. And, is this going to continue to happen as there are simultaneous releases? I do think so. But hopefully, the wording around ScarJo's and the treatment of ScarJo's was just the unfortunate aspect of all this. Like, it could have been handled so much differently, and it wasn't. So I think that's the real big cost there.
While we're discussing these types of issues, I feel like the IATSE strike is probably a good thing to bring up. I'm dropping just in case you don't have a clear understanding of what that is, I'm dropping in a link to a Slash Film article, and like, Eric just crushed that write-up in terms of fully explaining, what the organizations involved do, why they are not seeing eye to eye, why things need to change, what could happen in the future. So if you kind of need the 101 on this whole situation and why it's such a big deal, do read that link that I just dropped in the chat.
Yeah.
I mean, there hasn't been any updates since last night, right?
No, not at all. That one has nothing.
Man, that could be a very big issue. This is why you need to treat the hardest working people in your industry fairly. Oh, this stresses me out so much.
This is all another illegal thing that, what do you think about the screenwriter of the original Friday the 13th movie winning the lawsuit to own the domestic ownership of the horror franchise? I will say that I have no comment at this time until I edit Lindsay's piece that she has updated once again on Certified Forgotten for this, because again, Lindsay is a legal professional and knows this stuff inside and out, and crushed a piece for us on Certified Forgotten for it. Like, it's literally getting linked to right now from like around the web to being one of like the best places for information on the lawsuit, where it started, what it means. And we finally have her updating it this weekend to basically say what this does mean for the future. So I'm going to hold out what I actually think about it until I can read her piece, because that's going to tell me what I should think about it.
I am eager to read that. Speaking of Friday the 13th, we got a super chat from Sky the Boss 96. Yeah. This is a terrible super chat. This is a very difficult question to answer. I might have eyed it earlier and I've been thinking about it. Pick one to see in IMAX in 2023. Chris Nolan's accurate version of Titanic, Denis Villeneuve's Cleopatra, or David Gordon Green's Friday the 13th. So here's my logic on this one.
Okay.
I was having an especially difficult time. Not that I would not be excited for Denis Villeneuve's Cleopatra on an IMAX screen, but I'm more torn between the Titanic option and Friday the 13th. But then
is Friday just because we haven't had one in a while?
Well, it's also because I love the franchise and I love Jason.
Yeah.
But I would remove Friday the 13th before Titanic because Titanic feels more important to see in IMAX. So ultimately I land on Titanic.
I mean, for me, like, I want to see that Friday so bad. So it's just like, I think that have to be my answer. Like, do I think both of those could make very compelling IMAX films? Yeah, hell yeah. Nolan and Villeneuve, like, Denis doing anything on an IMAX screen is probably going to be at least gorgeous, whether or not you like it or not. I'm still going to want to watch that Friday.
Like, I get to see Dune soon, and I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I'm almost done with the book. And I'm there. I'm like, that is definitely, like, I was already excited before, but the further I get in the book, the more my anticipation builds.
Yeah. I think I'm going to wait for streaming on that one, just for my own preferences and how to watch it.
Understandable. It's a long movie. I'm a little, not that, like, I never want to, like, judge a movie based on its running time, especially before seeing it. But, I did just see No Time to Die, and I said it in my review. I felt that running time. It was long, and there were some lulls that made me feel it. And, like, my butt was a little numb when I left. We were sitting there for a while. So, long run times are intimidating, and I think that's a reasonable response to them.
I never have a problem with a film's length until I see it. And then once I see it, then I know. Like, that's kind of what, like, how I approach it. It's just,
I would never like critique or judge a film based on its running time in any capacity before having seen it. But I think once you see it, then running time, if it does not justify it, whether it's too short or too long, is a very fair criticism there.
Yeah, I think that's just a comment on, I think there's a certain type of comment on Twitter that is just, oh my God, this movie's 3 hours. Why? It's like, well, did you see it? Because maybe it's 3 hours because it deserves it.
I do think the kind of response where someone might be asking, it's 3 hours, why, is not necessarily the best path to take. But I do understand anyone out there who wants to see a movie and then sees it has a 3 hour running time, and they're intimidated by the commitment to sitting in a public theater for whatever reason, for like a variety of reasons, for that length of time. I mean, 3 hours is a good chunk of someone's day. I can understand hesitancy when they see a running time that long, even though maybe they haven't seen the movie and haven't seen if the movie justifies the running time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, totally. Like, I could watch Wolf of Wall Street most days, and that's almost 4 hours. So
I can watch Wolf of Wall Street. I could also watch James Cameron's Titanic.
And I've seen 90-minute movies that feel like an eternity.
I could also probably watch a 3 hour Venom movie if it was just the day-to-day of Eddie and Venom.
I just want to live in that. I want to live in that odd couple scenario.
Do you know how many times, like, I was recording my Venom review. Do you know how many times I accidentally, like, literally accidentally, I'm not saying I did this on, because, like, many people would assume I would do this on purpose. How many times I spoonerismed Eddie and Venom and said Betty and Venom? Like, over and over and over. I should release a blooper reel of just how many times I cut that out of that review.
You should. If it is that much, you probably should do that.
There was a lot. I probably have at least 30 to 40 full seconds of me saying Vetty and Venom.
Eddie Vedder. Eddie Vedder.
Yeah, right. Cross my mind. All right. Do we want to talk about the post-credit scene?
Yeah, did you wanted to make a little bumper so that we make sure that people know? Oh, you did already.
Weather warning, Venom. I love how I'm checking it as I say it. All right, so this is it. If you have not seen Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and you have not seen the credit scene in the movie, this is it. Like, I'm gonna keep making the spoiler warning long, so I give you guys the time to register that and to peace out, because
we appreciate you all coming.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, Matt, while people are leaving, do you want to plug anything?
Just the normal stuff at Donatobomb on Twitter, Letterboxd, and Instagram. So that is where to find me, all my writing, and a lot of it is hitting right now. So lots of horror things. It's October. I got lots of spooky thoughts.
And I will promote Ladies Night. The latest episode is with Vanessa Hudgens, and it was lovely chat. You should check that out. That one's up and running. Next one is going to be with Olivia Thirlby for Why the Last Man, which is a show that I think more people should be watching, and she's very good in it. So watch that episode when it comes out. And I'll tease another one that is officially in the can, so I can't jinx it. Victoria Pedretti for season 3 of You. That one will come out on October 15th when the Netflix series comes out. Okay, let's do it. We've given everyone enough time to leave. Holy shit, they did it. They did it. And
I was genuinely shocked.
I want to say I'm shocked. I do. I want to say, yeah, I was shocked too. But how can I be shocked? We've been discussing these rumors for forever. Sony has a vested interest in bringing that character into the MCU proper. We're always talking about the arrangement that they have with Disney in terms of the use of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. This was, yeah, I was shocked, but it was also bound to happen.
I mean, I got so much excitement in that moment. Listen, we talk about those post-credit scenes over and over again, and we talk about how much they mean to a movie and if they should be the most exciting thing of a movie. I'm sorry, I liked Venom, Let There Be Carnage. That post-credit scene was goddamn show-stopping.
Okay, so just to clarify here, that post-credit scene essentially closes the door on the reality that the 2 Venom movies took place in. And now it has taken those characters, but nothing else, and pushed them into the MCU, correct?
I believe that is what is presented to us in that little glimpse, because in my mind, I think I know where you're going with this, and in my mind, I don't know how the first 2 Venom movies and the Venom that we have there as the lethal protector works into this new MCU.
Well, that literally in my mind, that is the only way that they can do this. If they just pluck those 2 characters out, and this version of this world where all this stuff happened, just plain old doesn't exist. But then the question becomes, even if you do that, will the MCU creatives change Eddie and Venom at all? And if so, how?
Yeah, I think this is honestly fair. They get to be in the MCU. They get their Spider-Verse. They get their Sinister Six. Because again, this is pushing towards a Sinister Six, obviously. They get their Venomverse. And, I think this does tie a few things now with, I believe, isn't Michael Keaton in Morbius? Or how is Michael Keaton coming back? Or something of that nature. We knew there were ties already. But this ties them all in a way.
It was Morbius. Wasn't he in the Morbius trailer?
Yeah, that's
what I keep thinking about Michael Keaton being in The Flash, and it's confusing me now.
Yeah. No, not The Flash. Definitely not The Flash. But we knew that the ties were kind of possibly there and that the tease was possibly there. And this is just the stamp on everything. This is the thing that tells us, yeah, the MCU is now tying into all this. And I don't know. I don't know if I worry about it, because we know that we're just going to get the MCU sanitized version of everything that we've seen. And I think that possibly this Venom, the Venom that we've had so far, I don't know if we can get that exact Venom in the MCU. But then again, my thought is also this Venom Let There Be Carnage film is way goofier and way, I think it's kind of tailored in a way to let the Eddie and Venom scenario that we currently have play in the MCU. I feel like they have been MCU-atized.
I think they can do it. I think they can make it work, because as much as I love watching those 2 characters in these 2 movies that we have, there's no denying that everything about them can be polished. And I think that's what's gonna, if I had to make a prediction of how the characters are going to change once they're sucked into the MCU, it's going to be that we're getting a more polished version of them, a more polished version of their relationship, more polished one-liners for them. It's like, I think Tom Hardy can make just about anything work in those two roles, but I think that once you have to meet those MCU creative standards, you're gonna have to have those one-liners be stronger on the page first, and it might make his work even easier.
And we also do have to think about the fact that Stephen Graham's Detective Mulligan, like that is another tease in the end of Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Like Detective Mulligan is very much alive, and Detective Mulligan now has powers as well. So I think in what they can try to do is you just give Eddie and Venom their time in the new Spider-Man, possibly. Like, I don't think it's going to be all that great if they are in it in the sense. And then exactly, because you don't have that Stephen Graham kind of setup. Like, you don't put that Detective Mulligan teaser in there where he wakes up and his eyes are blue. And again, he now has powers without wanting to do something with that. And I don't think that's something that ties into the greater MCU. So that's going to be the part of their Spider-Verse, quote unquote. That's going to be the part of what they're playing with over on that side. And I mean, this also does open up for Tom Holland to go play over there too. So maybe the end game is just going to be this crossover back and forth where, hey, here's a cameo in your movie, here's a cameo in your movie, back and forth, back and forth.
I mean, I love how I'm saying this after the comments that I made about Stranger Things possibly expanding, but like that sounds like it could be kind of cool, is just to use the the time and the universe and the multiverse type stuff in order to be able to like maximize your room to play, but without necessarily, ruining is not the right word, but changing or having something that's ill-fitting for one version or the other. I guess, but then again, as I say, you're talking about taking characters that exist in this version of a world and plopping them in this. So there's going to have to be some adjustments here is basically what it comes down to.
There's going to have to be adjustments, but I think it also gets away with it. If we're talking about like Stranger Things expanding, I don't see the interest in a lot of those spin-off stories because the interest isn't really there for me. But if you're talking about Sony playing with Spider-Man universe characters that the MCU is not, I think the benefit there is the fact that you have two studios expanding the Spider-Verse on their own ways and playing with characters that, like, they're not stealing from one another. They're not spinning off in ways that are like, I'm going to yank this and take it over here. They're going to do cameos that way. But the greater thing they're going to do is let multiple characters who might be on the, they might be on the sidelines in each other's, if it's just the MCU or it's just the Sony Spider-Verse, and they both get to exceed, excel, and do what they want in their own terms. So I think that's the win-win versus the Netflix idea of let's get as much out of Stranger Things as we can here.
I'll give you that. If it really does feel like a win-win in the end. Like, again, I know Venom Let There Be Carnage isn't the greatest movie, but that makes me even more impressed by how enthusiastic and how like, I actually do have faith that what they're teeing up can work, and that's very exciting to me.
This could be something that happens. This very much could be something that happens, and that is kind of like a way to develop the arc and a way to do it very quickly, and then you get to bring that Venom back and put that Venom back in your world. So I think that it's a very MCU thing to do, to be like kind of blaze through a plot point and get someone to level them up, evolve them in a way that is pretty quick. And I think that brings us to, like, maybe this is the last thing we talk about. Like, do you think that Venom actually does make it into No Way From Home? Like, is this a post-credits thing? Are we just going to get Venom in a post-credits? Or are we actually going to get Venom in the movie itself?
I think it's very possible. If Venom is in that movie, I don't think it's going to be a significant role. But given how many characters are involved, I do think there's something like a strong sequence. Like, I'm not just talking about a cameo at that point. Like, I'm not talking about him, like appearing and then vanishing. I mean, like, an actual sequence where he gets involved and maybe teases more to come. Just a guess.
I think the most we get is a few minutes. I really think that's not much more else than that. But if we are talking about, getting the spider symbol in that way, or some kind of like level up for Venom, then that has to be a few minutes. Get the thing you need out of it, and then get out of there. I don't know. I do weirdly think it could also be a post credits. I think it could just be a little bit there where like, hey, guess what? We really do exist in the same universe. We just want to make sure you know. And like from there, they can plot out further crossover events.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you definitely can be right, but I'll continue to predict within the more than a very brief appearance, but less than a supporting character zone.
Okay. Maybe I think that's very fair.
Maybe that's just wishful thinking, though, just because I love them so much and I want to see more of them.
In today's day and age, I find it very hard to think that they filmed enough with Tom Hardy on that set that it didn't get spoiled. That's the one thing I kind of think about. Hey, listen, if Tom Holland was able to keep his mouth shut this long about Tom Hardy being in like No Way From Home long enough,
everyone keeps bringing up that he was wearing a No Way From Home production hat. So, man, I want all the answers, but I don't want anything spoiled for me. So.
If that's Tom Hardy doing a little Easter egg, God bless him. I'm glad he did it.
I'm all for it. All right, you want to close this out? Mama and Papa Nems want to eat some dinner.
You have every right to go eat dinner with your family.
So we're going to take off. We will keep it TBD on a day and time for Merri Hour next week. But once I have my Comic-Con schedule sorted out, we will plan something. And then for the week after, we will be back in LA and we'll do some fun shit together in the same room. And it'll be a good time.
We will. The day before we do a beer fest.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. Maybe we should do a Patreon only video at the beer fest.
We'll see.
Okay.
I don't know if I'll find time for that there.
You won't have to find time. I'll find time to film all that nonsense. Because there will be lots of nonsense. All right, I'm going to leave you with that. Awesome. We're out of here.